All right, let's just jump right in. Today we are talking about something, well, something huge. It's a fundamental shift in how we even think about intelligence. We're going to move past this idea of the lone genius and look at something way more powerful, something that's been around forever, the collective.
And this quote, man, it just nails it, doesn't it? This is a team sport. For, forever, all our stories, from ancient myths to sci-fi movies, have been about the lone hero, the one person or machine who saves the day. But, it turns out reality has a much cooler, much more interesting plan in mind.
So, okay, if that whole lone hero model is busted, what's next? Well, that's where this idea comes in, Synergy Commons. Think of it as a new playbook, a new framework for how all kinds of intelligence, I'm talking human, AI, you name it, can actually learn to play on the same team.
And here's the thing, this whole idea of cooperative intelligence, it's not some new flashy tech buzzword. Nope, it's a pattern that's as old as time. And believe it or not, to really get a grip on the future of AI, we've got to go way back and look at how we've been saving knowledge for centuries.
It all comes down to this really elegant three-step dance, the decode, encode, decode cycle. So first you decode. You rescue some fragile piece of knowledge from something that's falling apart. Then you encode it. You translate it into a format that's going to last, something durable. But here's the magic part, the final decode. That's when you bring it back to life. You apply it, you teach it, you create something new from it. You see, this isn't just about putting things in a museum. It's an engine that literally drives progress forward.
And you can see this cycle everywhere. I mean, think about it. A conservator painstakingly restores an ancient manuscript. That's step one, decode. Then that restored knowledge gets digitized, right? That's the encode step. And finally, a professor takes that same information and teaches it to a classroom full of students. That's the final decode, putting it back into action. It's one idea kept alive by a whole chain of people working together.
Okay, so let's connect the dots. How does this ancient pattern of saving knowledge connect to the bleeding edge of AI? Well, for decades, we've been obsessed with this myth of the super robot, the one perfect AI. And honestly, that dream is really starting to hit a wall.
Yeah, that was the big goal, right? To build a single, flawless, artificial mind, that lone chrome hero we talked about at the beginning. An AI that could just handle anything you throw at it. But here's the problem. The real world is messy. It's way too complex and unpredictable for any single system, no matter how smart, to go it alone.
So let's just put these two models side by side. The old lone hero model, it's brittle. One little thing goes wrong and the whole system can come crashing down. It's super expensive and a nightmare to scale up. But the cooperative model, totally different story. It's robust, it's easy to scale, and its intelligence is emergent, meaning it doesn't come from one central brain, it comes from all the little pieces interacting with each other. It's just a smarter way to build.
What this really means is we gotta shift our thinking. We need to stop trying to build one super smart robot and start building what you might call a society of minds. Because the real power, it isn't in any single agent, it's in the swarm.
And to really wrap your head around this, there are a couple of awesome visual metaphors that help. Let's start with the first one, flocks. Just picture a huge swirling flock of birds, all moving together as one single entity.
A flock of starlings is like the perfect poster child for emergent intelligence. I mean, think about it. There's no leader bird shouting out orders, right? And yet they create these absolutely breathtaking synchronized patterns in the sky. They're adaptable, they're resilient, and that's exactly what we want from our AI agents.
All right, so from the sky, let's dive underground for the next big idea. We're talking about root systems. They're just as complex as a flock of birds, but in a completely different, much quieter way.
So, picture a forest. You see the individual trees, but underneath the ground, there's this massive hidden network of roots connecting everything, sharing nutrients, sending signals. That's the metaphor for how these AI agents can work. It's this invisible, stable cooperation, sharing data, sensing what's going on, and doing it all without some central boss calling the shots. It's quiet, it's hidden, and it is unbelievably powerful.
So why does any of this matter? This isn't just some cool abstract idea for scientists to debate. No, this has huge real-world consequences. We're talking about everything from boardroom strategy all the way to, well, cosmic poetry about our place in the universe.
Let's bring it down to earth for a second and talk business. The numbers here are pretty staggering. Companies that switch to these cooperative systems are seeing massive gains. I mean, a 35% jump in productivity, a 40% drop in maintenance costs, and a 50% boost in adaptability. We're not talking about theory anymore. This is a straight-up competitive advantage.
And then, right after you see all that cold, hard data, you get hit with this line, a piece of pure, simple truth. It says that for all our fancy tech and complex algorithms, the only technology that has ever really worked is community. It's the exact same idea, just said in a much more human way. At the heart of all this is a concept called emergent adaptability. So what's that? It's basically the system's ability to react and reorganize itself in real time, on the fly. If one piece of the puzzle fails, the whole thing doesn't just fall apart. Nah, the network just adjusts. It finds a new way to work and keeps on going. And that is a level of resilience you simply cannot code into one single giant machine.
And all of this points to one pretty clear conclusion, doesn't it? The game has changed. The whole paradigm has shifted. We're leaving the era of the isolated AI behind and moving straight into a future that's going to be defined by these incredible, coordinated, intelligent ecosystems.
So, let's bring it all home. Where does all this leave us? I want to wrap things up with one final, really powerful thought that kind of ties this whole story together.
And this quote just says it all. The future doesn't belong to the lone robot. It belongs to the hive that thinks. So yeah, forget the idea of a single super genius machine. The future is a collective, a synchronized swarm. It's about thousands, maybe millions of tiny parts all working in perfect harmony to create something that's way, way bigger and smarter than any one part could ever be on its own.
Which, of course, leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. As our world gets more and more complex, more interconnected, more chaotic, is our obsession with the individual genius, whether it's a person or a machine, finally becoming obsolete? Is the future, at the end of the day, really a team sport? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.